but why can't I be on both sides of the spectrum? Why can't I over-index both worlds to make a larger impact? You know, that's what I'm trying to change that. And in so many unorthodox ways too. Like I'm trying to, you know, I'm trying to bridge the connection between like a Elon Musk and a Kanye West. Yeah, so, you know, when I look at just everything I want to do now, it all cuts down to helping. You know, I just want to help. I always wanted, that's been, you know, one of my main goals is to always just help, always be a vessel for the weak, always be a vessel for the underprivileged, the underserved. You know, the brand I'm building now is dedicated to just that. You know, I have a nonprofit called Able Empowerment Foundation. I'm dedicated to just that. You know, in the future, I just see like collaboration being like one of the greatest things ever. You know, there's so many, you know, influential people that are in positions of influence that I feel like if they diverted, you know, their influence and just like if they could divert their influence 5 steps to the right, you know, they could have a much larger impact. And so, yeah, I just want to collaborate with as many influencers in the right way because it's all like, I have a vision board and it stems from, you know, agriculture, fashion, technology, communication, design, you know, so many things. And it's like, you know, to execute this org chart to where it needs to go, which many might, you know, the thing is like when people always try and say like a lot of, you know, not just me, but like a creative, if you think of a creative in general, like 9 times out of 10, you know, people are always saying they're over optimistic or a lot of things they create are over optimistic, but you know, I'm a testament to just, you know, execution. I feel like that's how you really show people, you know, that's how you win, through execution. You know, like people are, like Gary Vee said, you know, people are gonna talk and either they're right and you're wrong or you're wrong and they're right, you know, but you'll never find out if you never execute. So I just wanna execute with the dopest human possible and surround myself with the dopest humans possible and collaborate in its purest form. You know, I feel like the ultimate collaboration is, you know, when people come together to offer their truth. I feel like that's not done enough, or it's not done in its purest way, or conveyed in its purest way. Sorry, and yeah, I just feel like I'm one of those people. So when people look at like what I did with like Nipsey Hussle or blah blah blah, or just like anything I've done in the past, you know, things I do in the future or projects I focus on in the future will have nothing to do with technology, will have nothing to do with fashion, but these are just the platforms I feel like I can make the most impact now. You know what I mean? Like, you know, people, I always get asked a question like, what are you doing next in tech? What are you doing next in tech? And if I am going to do anything that revolves around technology, it's, you know, on the basis of infrastructure, you know? Everything for me goes back to infrastructure. It's like to be at the top of the food chain, you know, to be able to create with all the resources needed at one's disposal. Because if you're not at the top, you know, we can do, like, you know, I just finished watching a recent interview with Jay, and he was talking about, you know, change. And it's like you can protest, you can demonstrate, you can, you know, do whatever you want. But until you have a service that you're offering, you know, until you have your own power base that you're establishing as a commodity to offer a service, you know, nothing will change. And so, you know, that's what I'm really focused on right now. And I think that's what I'm going to be focused on for a long time, because it's like, you know, we are culture. We are culture, and you know, like we the new Palo Alto. You know, it's like, how do we over-index? How do we do more of this concept of over-indexation, which, you know, I'm obviously doing, but how do I get more people to do that? It's like, you know, I might be one part of the blueprint, but we need a lot of blueprints, and we need more people my age, younger, older, you know, to understand what, you know, this wave means, understand what the digital revolution is, you know, because people don't. When we have a whole generation built off of second ownership, you know, creating products or creating services as a product of other companies that are, you know, megalo, you know, just like super freaking large. Like, you look at 3 of the largest companies and they're all, you know, like, you have Microsoft, you have Windows by Microsoft, you have iOS by Apple, and you have Google by Android, and everything trickles down. You know, everyone that creates apps creates on other people's platforms. And if I really, you know, just understand how things operate, you know, infrastructure is only held by the highest classes. You know, breaking classism, you know, bridging the disconnect, the void that currently stands. And, you know, everyone can get involved. You know, someone I really look up to, Walt Disney, he gave us Disneyland, and Disneyland is like one of the happiest places in the world, you know? And you often think of, you know, where he was trying to go. And, you know, one of the words I love using, because just people beat it down all the time, is, you know, forming a utopia. And it's all over my org chart. You know, he wanted to build a real life utopia, you know, and he was able to do that to some extent. Just think of like where if there was a Disney community, just think of that. You know, Disneyland is that one place you go to where everyone's happy. And, you know, it's not only the, you know, the infrastructure of how Disneyland was built, but it's also the regular people that go there every day. You know, so I feel like with what I'm doing, like, I need, you know, people need to understand that, like, everyone can get involved, and that, like, it starts with the truth. It starts with unwinding and reprogramming yourself from every bad thing you were taught. You know, everything that you were taught, understanding that, you know, you can't just go with what society tells you. You can't just go with, you know, what people in power tell you. You can't just go with what educators tell you. You have to, you know, to some extent, figure a lot of things out for yourself. You know, not by yourself, but for yourself. You know, so I think, like, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm indirectly causing a paradigm shift. I'm directly causing a paradigm shift, if that makes sense. You know, I want people to be more conscious without even understanding that I'm trying to make them conscious. I want people to delve deeper into, I want, you know, more people that, you know, sort of look up to me to understand that, like, you know, you can do it too. You know, we are all made to be utilized. We are all made to be put to use. And, you know, the only luxury is time. You know, that's what everybody's racing against. Like, you would rather figure these things out. You would understand how the world is going to work in 10 years, how the digital revolution will affect every single person as it is already. understanding certain metrics and, searching for the answers and the secrets to life, the secret codes to life. There's a code for everything. I look at culture, and it's like if you think of any product, for example, like Snapchat is based out here, but if they were based in the Bay, they wouldn't be able to do as well as they do because they're an entertainment app. So them understanding to some extent the codes of the culture and moving out here can make a larger impact. And I feel like, a lot of brands outside of the culture have been able to leverage and over-index the culture to some extent, but we as a people still haven't figured out how to over-index and capitalize off of the culture. And I just want to change that. And I want creatives to be cool. I want creatives that actually impact and change the world to be recognized while they're still alive. It's so often that people aren't recognized till they're dead. And that has to change. But at the same time, it's really hard to explain in English or any language. It's really hard to explain in any language. It's like I just wish I could just show people my vision of the future without it being ridiculed, I guess. But in the future, I see companies actually looking at the creatives for direction, rather than just looking at people that have no actual, know-how how to change something. It's like all these giant companies need to understand that those very creatives that were beat down their whole life, they have the codes to life. There's people that can figure out the mass killings in Chicago. There's people that can help with, the filtration of the water systems in Detroit. But those very people are scared to come out of the open for the sake of being ridiculed because they're considered too optimistic. And I'm that one creative that's we're gonna change that. It's like we in a way have to be like the Avengers, and you think of every superhero and they save so much and they help so much only to be beat down, and they still help. That's what we have to do. We have to be like coaches. We have to take the losses as our own and give the success to the world and be okay with that. Yeah, I think the disconnect between people just shutting people's ideas down is there's a thing that I've noticed, and a lot of creatives around me and people I look up to and admire have also noticed too, and that's the fact that people that are highly creative have to they have to, how you go to Disneyland or you go to Six Flags and you have a pass, how you have a cool pass. What I've realized is a lot of creatives and people that have great ideas, they have to trade in that cool pass in order to actually make it. You look at people like Elon and all these people, and it's to a lot of people, these people aren't cool. And in reality, some people that actually make a difference aren't cool because they had to trade that pass in, but it's a different era, and that's what I'm talking about, right? Right now, the people that actually make changes and impact, especially on a high level and can bridge it with culture, they won't have to trade that cool pass in. You often hear younger cats calling older people the old heads, and they're not being okay with music and blah blah. And I feel like a huge problem with that is there's no conversation that's transpiring. You just have like younger cats doing what they're doing, and then, you know, other people, you know, quote unquote older people or older cats, like, oh, this is BS, blah, 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 but no conversation is transpiring. It's like this person saying this on this end, that person saying this on that end, but there's no actual communicate. As a culture, our communication needs to get better. As a people, as a race, communication needs to get better. You know, I feel like I have the key to that, the code to making communication better.